Now, the claim of Jesus was that he was dead for 3 days and 3 nights. So that is now something that even science will not agree to. But that's the whole point. So his disciples died under the claim that they believed that they saw his resurrected self after the crucifixion. So my first question to you is, do you know anyone in history who has died for a claim that they knew firsthand to be false?
I don't even know what that question means.
Okay, it means that historians agree.
Which historians agree about what?
Bartman, for example,
Historians don't mean
that the disciples of Jesus
made a claim.
believe.
100 years
Yes.
after he's dead.
No. Let me finish my question. Let me finish my question. Oh, sorry, my statement. The claim of historians is that they believe and accept that the disciples of Jesus believed that they witnessed his resurrection, in terms of they saw Jesus had come back alive after death, and they died in that belief. So my question is, they firsthand, because remember, his disciples preached the Gospels. Would we agree?
No, not during his lifetime and shortly after his death.
So when did we have the book of Acts, for example? Stephen.
And when was that written? The book of Acts?
That's a.
No. Tell me when the book of Acts was written.
So historians would they? So let me tell you, historians would. No.
It's good to be honest.
First century.
Okay, so 100 years later.
No.
What?
When?
Claim of a claim of a claim.
Let me correct you, sir. You said 100 years later.
Yes.
The first century is 100 years, right?
The first century is 100
Did Jesus die in the year 1 AD, or did he? What year did Jesus die?
I believe it's 32.
32. So that now gives you a gap of 70 years, right? Wait, no, let me finish, because you said 100 years later. So now you've got a time frame of 70. So if the historians say the book of Acts was written around 50 AD, is that 100 years?
No, it's about 20 years.
So where did you get 100 years from?
About 20 years?
Right.
No,
no. Answer the question. Where did you get 100 years from? Where did you get 100 years from is my statement. Because if historians say the book of Acts was written around, let's say 30, I'll even extend it. So it's from about 50 to about 70 AD. Is that 100 years?
Who wrote the book of Acts?
Luke. Yes.
So Luke wasn't alive when Jesus was alive.
Yes, he was.
So how old was he then?
How old was Luke?
When Jesus died. He was a man when Jesus died, and yet 50 years later he wrote a book. How'd that happen?
50 years later. We've gone from 20 years to maximum of, let's say, even 50 years, right? Right. So are you saying he wouldn't have been able to write it 50 years later?
I'm saying that the average lifespan then was about 45 years old, and if it was already 30, let's say, when Jesus died, he's got another 30 or 40 years on there.
Right. But shall I highlight why your calculations are wrong?
Yeah, go on.
Because the average lifespan was said to be young because of the high rate of infanticide.
No.
Because once...
How can you have an average lifespan of 45 when they're dying as infants? Infants don't count as the
Yes, they
lifespan.
do.
No, they don't.
Let me explain to you, because you don't know your facts.
Okay.
When people calculate lifespans, they calculate the lifespan of every single person. So exactly. So once you're past childhood, you actually had a very long life. But because of the high rates of child deaths, that's what reduced the age. So you think that the average age was that people actually dying? No, that's the average in totality. But once you get past infanthood,
You're absolutely incorrect on this point.
can you show me evidence?
If you give me a pair of reading glasses and a computer, yeah, but I'm sure you can.
So where's your reading glasses?
When they're at home. Why do I bring my reading glasses here?
So let me ask you a question. Was there a high rate of infanticide during those times?
Love your it depends for where.
Thank you. Huh?
Where are you talking about? In relation to what? Parts of Africa.
In Judea.
Parts of Africa probably have just as high a rate now.
Right. But then that's my point.
But the average lifespan is much
your
longer now.
Your argument is that he wouldn't listen to. Your argument is that he wouldn't have lived past 50. My point is...
No, that's not my argument.
What was your point?
My argument is
Right.
everything you're saying is a fantasy based on...
On what?
Based on hearsay, based on hearsay,
Yeah, I'm good.
hearsay, based on hearsay. You have no person who actually you can say such and such a person was there when that
But
happened.
we have the Gospels.
You have the
So what are the Gospels?
They're words from people that weren't even there.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. I don't get it. I don't get it. But there's someone clearly an intelligent person.
Right.
I believe this stuff.
So here's my question to
What have
you.
you done that you need to have something like that?
So here's my question to you. Why do historians such as Bart Ehrman disagree with you?
I don't know because
Do you have any academic? You have Bruce Metzger, who was a biblical scholar. Right. So my question is, what authoritative source do you have to substantiate your claim?
No.
Right. So I've given you Bart Ehrman. I've given you Bruce Metzger. I can give you William Crane Lake.
Are they all alive now?
Yes.
So they're just historians, mainly.
No.
So
Bruce Metzger isn't alive.
They're just looking back on the
Right.
record as well.
So
they're making a claim
right.
of their
So
belief about
okay.
And probably someone like
So-
them that they love.
So let me ask you this question. Have you heard of Josephus?
Yes.
Who is he?
I've got no idea, but I've heard of it.
Right. So he was a historian from around the 2nd
So he
century.
was a Roman historian, right?
He was a historian, yes, a Jewish historian. So he also talks about the crucifixion of Jesus. He talks about he doesn't need to be. If someone is a historian, we have their gospel. We have the gospel accounts. We have. So I've given you Josephus, who mentions the crucifixion. This is why all historians accept that Jesus was crucified as a historical fact. We have the Gospels, which are the earliest documents that talk about the crucifixion and the life of the apostles. So these were things that were going and written within the time, because these stories obviously went around during the time through the church.
Really?
Yes, the church was the people, the people who witnessed, and that's why.
But the church was all in Latin, so how was it for the
I'm
people?
saying the people in Christianity is called not the building, but the people. That's what is
Yes,
the
but
church.
all of the liturgical stuff
Yes.
was in Latin.
But
Or
the
if it was in
Gospels,
Egypt, it was
the
in
Gospels
Egyptian, or if it was in-
the Gospels were written first in Greek, right? Latin came much later.
I thought the Gospels first were written in Aramaic.
Aramaic. Jesus spoke Aramaic,
Yes.
but they were written in Greek
Right, so why were they written in Greek?
because
And wanted their own agenda.
Who was it? Who of the disciples and who of the apostles wrote and spoke Greek?
Any of them, just one of them. Anyone that was.
well, you have. Yeah, hold on. Let me just address this claim. So you had, for example, Luke.
Spoke Greek.
Yes, Greek. Luke was a Gentile.
Okay.
So that's one person. The disciples.
It's just being a Gentile means he's a non-Jew. It doesn't mean he spoke or wrote
What were
Greek.
Gentiles at that time?
Did Jesus come for the Gentiles?
They were from the Roman Empire, right?
Did Jesus come for the Gentiles?
They were Hellenized.
Who were Hellenized?
Jesus didn't
The
come
Gentiles,
for
the Jewish people at the time were Hellenized under the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire,
The Greek Empire
Sorry.
or the Roman Empire?
the Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire.
Right.
But they would have spoke Latin now, the Roman Empire, not Greek.
No, but you had Greek speakers.
You had Greek speakers, but
Yes.
how can you show me
Because
in
you
any
had-
way that Luke was one of
Because
them?
you had the Greek,
But how can you show me in any way?
because you had the Greek speaking, and you had the Latin region of the Roman
And you had
Empire,
Aramaic,
right?
and you had all different languages being
Right.
spoken.
So what is your point? Because you're
My
just
point-
going around in
No,
circles.
you're the one dancing around
No,
answering the question.
because I gave you historians.
Oh, you nearly said truth then, didn't you? You nearly
No,
said
no, I didn't say that. I gave you historians
Your tongue.
who confirm that Jesus was crucified.
No, you have historians who
Right.
put forward their belief given their
What is
research.
your academic qualifications to assert these claims that it's just claims?
Do I need
So
to have
you're just making a statement without any evidence,
Aren't you?
without any substantiation.
Exactly. That's exactly
No,
what
but
the
I'm
historians of-
right. So I'm appealing. I can appeal to historians who spend their life researching this. So we have an academic level of
Right,
standard.
let's do a quick thought experiment, right? Let's just dial back time. 50 years.
Right.
50 years ago, an actual event happened. And it happened.
Right.
You can look at as many historians, and we're not talking 2,200 years, we're talking 50 years ago.
Right.
JFK was shot by somebody on
How do you know?
Because I've seen the video of it.
How do you know it's not doctored?
Because it's a Super 8 video, you couldn't have doctored Super 8 video.
Ah, okay. So do you believe Abraham Lincoln was assassinated?
No. Stop.
No. You see? Do you believe Abraham Lincoln was assassinated?
I've got no idea.
You've got no idea?
No.
Okay, so you're clueless.
I'm clueless about Abraham
Right,
Lincoln. Yeah,
okay.
My point is not that. My point is,
right.
you tell
So why
me,
should I take anything you say as reliable if you can't even agree?
This is backpedaling like mad.
No, we have someone who can't even agree that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Why? Because you weren't there.
Right, but then
So then we have
loads of people were there when JFK was assassinated,
Right.
Yet you can get 5 historians,
Right.
very well,
Okay.
leveled historians,
Right.
and they have 5 different
Right.
reasons
Right.
or beliefs and claims about
Right.
what happened, and that was only 50 years ago, and they're
Okay.
just as historian as your historians looking
Okay.
2,000
So do you believe?
And you have video. You
But
have
here's the
footage,
difference.
You have eyewitnesses who
So
are alive
here's the
today.
difference.
No difference.
So what? I'm going on your
No
argument.
difference.
So you're saying you will believe something if you saw it.
No, it's not what I said. I said
Right.
that even though people saw it and filmed it,
Right.
nobody can say what happened. And it
Right.
was filmed, and there were 1,000 people who was 400 of them probably are still alive, and
Right.
still we don't know what happened exactly. We have historians giving different things.
So was he killed?
Yes, he was killed on
Right.
video. We watched it.
Okay.
We watched the film. There's a Bruder film.
So
Have you
why
watched
do you
the
believe
Bruder
he
film?
was killed?
Have you watched
I'm
it?
asking you, why do you believe he was
I don't
killed?
care.
That's not my
don't
question.
care.
I didn't say whether you care. I said, do you believe he was killed?
I saw him killed
So is that why you believe he was killed?
because I saw him.
Right. So now, for example, we're going back to a time, for example, when there's no cameras. Do you believe Oliver Cromwell existed?
I don't, but I have no reason to believe he didn't. But I can't prove he did.
Okay. But you would say on a balance of probability based on
the
testimony.
balance of probability based on testimony and written history, and
Right.
history that was written about him actually as he was alive,
Okay.
living history.
Right.
There is lots of that. So
Now-
I have no reason to disbelieve
Okay.
that he died.
So let's go even further back. Do you believe Socrates existed?
No.
You don't believe so?
No, I think all of those Greek ones
So you-
could well have been. There is absolutely no proof that Socrates was alive.
So do you believe that Julius Caesar existed?
There has been loads of Julius Caesar.
Julius.
As the
The
Holy Roman Emperor.
Yeah.
On the balance of probability, yes. Again,
Right.
because living history was written around him
Right.
while he was alive.
Now, let me.
Are you filming
You've defeated your own point. Are you aware that from the time of antiquity, the evidence for Jesus is closer to Jesus than it is for Julius Caesar? And you've just now said that you believed in Julius Caesar.
I didn't say that. Did I say?
You said you believed he existed.
No, I said I have no reason to believe he didn't exist.
Okay.
That's a different
Do you have
statement
evidence to
completely.
believe Jesus didn't exist?
Yeshua existed, that's
Right.
why.
Do you have reason
have
to
no
believe?
reason to believe
Do you
no.
have reason to believe that Jesus wasn't crucified?
I have the fact that 20 years after his death, Pontius Pilate couldn't
King
perform.
James and his scholars.
That's not good. Let's go back again because now you're trying to make excuses. Okay, let's address that claim. You said Pontius Pilate couldn't recall him. What's your evidence for that?
It's written somewhere.
So where?
I don't know. But
In what?
In a.
That's a made up claim. That's why I'm asking you. Where did you get that
How do you
claim
know it's
from?
made up claim? How
Because
can you
there
say
is.
it's a made up claim?
You've just made it up on the spot. That's why I'm asking for your source. What is the source of that claim?
How would I know? I read so many things.
So you can't provide any source
I can't tell
or
you
any
that
evidence.
source is 100%.
I'm telling you it's fabricated.
If you say it's fabricated, then
Right.
I don't believe it.
So if it's fabricated, my question again is: do you have any evidence to believe that Jesus wasn't crucified?
No, not really.
Yeshua.
Right. So now.
Because they crucified just about everybody.
Right.
They did love a
So
crucifixion.
now, if Jesus was crucified, and we know that he had disciples, now let's go back. So now your argument is crumbling because now what I'm trying to do is remove the reasons why you have for objection. Because you said you had no reason to believe that Julius Caesar didn't exist based on the evidence that is available.
Living history.
When was that living history? So if I show you a quote that says the evidence for Jesus is closer to the time and better preserved than the evidence for Julius Caesar, would you then
No, because I need to see the evidence and read it and weigh it against other evidence.
Right. So if I give you evidence, for example, you have the Gospels.
I'm not going to take evidence from the gospel.
Why?
Because it's nonsense.
Why?
Because it's not a history book, it's a fantasy book.
Right.
Give me, Jesus lived during the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was a massive bureaucracy that recorded just about everything, right? So Julius Caesar would have had a living history being recorded in Latin while he was alive about his edicts and what he did. And that survives to this day, a lot of that, right? So we have that. You don't have any of that about.
We have the testimony from the. We have the testimony.
I'll show it to you. Right in front of you.
Living history written while he was alive.
What country are you from? Where were you born? What? From England? Are you English?
Yes.
So tell me what makes English people English? Or
what a stupid
no. Hold on.
I'm not here to answer stupid questions.
Hold on. No, it's not a stupid question.
But he's going somewhere. Given a courtesy.
What defines? I just showed you a while ago. What defines?
David, you've been told.
No. I'm showing you. This is a proof.
A proof.
What's that?
The cross of St. George.
Cross of what?
It's a fucking English flag.
It's the English flag.
Yes.
So what does it mean?
It doesn't mean fuck all, it means it's a flag.
Oh, so that's where they have the problem. Because you don't understand your own.
I don't care about a flag. Who cares about a
Because
flag?
the flag represents
No,
Christ.
it doesn't.
It represents Christ, the Red Cross. Come
of
on, man.
nonsense.
Look, it's on the Union Jack.
Are you English?
I am English.
Where were you born?
I was born in North London.
Whereabouts?
Wilson.
Wilson.
Park Royal Hospital. Birth certificate and all. Mother and father on it.
My brother was born in Park.
All right. So we have some connection. Right.
So now let me.
This is nonsense. This is just because.
Okay, I have a question for you. I have a question.
I'm not advising.
My friend, let's come back to the conversation.
To believe.
My friend,
Go on, sir.
what's your name, sir?
John.
John. Nice to meet you, John.
Hey.
So, for example, are your parents still alive?
No, they're both dead.
How do you know?
Because I killed them.
You killed them. But how do you know they were your parents?
This is just,
No. Because what I'm trying to highlight to you, you see, because stick to my question. How do you know they were your real parents?
Well, I had a DNA test that linked me to my mum. My dad, yeah, he was a soldier, could have been anyone, but I trust him because he was there my entire life.
So it's based on trust, but not empirical evidence, right?
This is just a ridiculous.
No, because I'm using your line of reasoning.
You brought this up in a courtroom, a judgment.
Because no one would make the absurd claims that you did. Of course I could. What is evidence? What is courts based on?
It's based on
evidence.
Yeah.
On evidence.
Yes.
Have I asked you for evidence that your father, that you believe, is your father?
In a way, yes.
So I could bring that to a court of law.
Yes, but if I could answer that, how would I answer that? I would answer
but your first claim,
my name on birth
your
certificate.
claim,
I could have a DNA.
but that doesn't prove that it's his father.
No, but then,
how? Could his mother have lied?
Then the only thing that would do is.
Could his mother have lied on the birth certificate?
So what's the point?
Right, because his point is, unless you witness something, you cannot be certain that it's true.
No,
that's why I'm.
No.
Right. So what is your claim then?
I said if something isn't documented within a living history.
Right.
So when my parents met, there's a living history. All the people that know them knew them and knew that they were together. When they got married, all those people were there at the marriage.
Were they there when you were conceived?
They weren't there when I was conceived.
But that's the whole point. That's where your argument breaks down.
We all have our father's eyes, right?
Huh?
Do we all have our father's eyes?
There's people who have children with other people who people believe have that person's eyes, but it's not their actual biological parents.
We have our father's eyes, right?
No.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't. Right. Where did you get that claim from?
Out of a medical.
So every single person has their father's eyes.
Usually, yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Usually, you said it was all the time. Now you're saying usually.